If you like guitar sounds that are moody, atmospheric, and washed out, then you clicked on the right thing, because in this video, I'm going to show you 5 pro tips for being creative when it comes to ambient guitar. For starters, what does ambient guitar mean? Well, for this video, I want to use something once said by a guy named Alex Fletcher at the company Mass Distro. He said, ambient guitar tones are ones where it's more about what happens after the note than the note itself. And by after the note, we're talking about like the decay or the release of the note. So reverb and delay effects are very big in ambient world because both of those are effects that have to do with the aftermath of a note. So is playing single notes at a time or just playing one chord and sitting on it for a while and just geeking out about the way that chord devolves, often with the help of some very moody reverb and delay sounds. One brand new pedal that can help you with all of this is the Encounter from Source Audio, which combines both reverb and delay. There's another combined reverb and delay pedal from Source Audio called the Collider. That one is more about recreating existing real-world effects like spring reverbs and tape echoes. This one is more about creating imaginary and maybe a little bit more extravagant reverbs and delays that are very useful for doing ambient stuff. But my pro tip for using equipment like this is that if you're going to use the reverb and the delay, you don't need both to be crazy. In fact, I think you can get more clarity if one of them is crazy and the other one is just a little bit more neutral. So my favorite sound I got out of this is using the pitch shifting delay set to perfect fifths. That's my crazy thing. And then the most like serviceable reverb I could get out of this, or like the least dramatic reverb I could get out of this, was using the tremolo reverb with the tremolo deactivated. If you do that, you get like a very nice neutral reverb. That combined with the perfect fifths thing is an instant ambient jackpot. By the way, if you like that sound, you can download the exact settings I made from the community tab in the Neuro Editor thing that Source Audio has. The preset is called Cyber Attack. I'll put a link to download it in the video description. In fact, if you want to get any of the gear in this video, I have affiliate links you can use that'll give me a small commission on anything you purchase, and I'll put those links in the video description as well. Money. For pro tip number 2, what if you want to do ambient, but you don't have a reverb and a delay pedal? Can you do it with only one of those? Yes, you can do it with either of them. First, we're going to look at doing it with just a delay pedal. The idea here is that you want to set the feedback or the repeats to be high enough and the speed to be fast enough so that one note sort of gets frozen in time alongside all its repeats. There are a lot of delay pedals that'll degrade your sound or sort of create this sort of washy foam from the repeats that is really cool. The Carbon Copy from MXR comes to mind, the Strymon Brig, the Sending from Electronic Audio Experiments, Maude from Fairfield Circuitry. Any one of those would be great. For this video, forced to pick one, I chose the Benson Delay. What you're about to hear is me using the Benson Delay with a little bit of LFO on it too. So it's doing this lo-fi vibrato effect as the reverbs degrade. That kind of thing is irresistible to me. For pro tip number 3, what if you don't want to use delay, you only want to use reverb? Maybe the first place to look would be a reverb that is based on a rack unit, or what is sometimes called hall reverbs, that are using many different cascaded delays, and then the feedback on the delays is just kind of like blurred together and smeared into a reverb. One great choice for that is the Vongon Ultrasheer. That's what I used in the thing you're about to hear. This pedal also has a vibrato in it that I didn't even use. Now, if you really want to live an ambient world all the way, like you want to put your head totally underwater, you might as well put the mix of the reverb on 100% wet. In fact, from time to time on this channel, I like to say that anything less than 100% wet is weakness. So you might as well turn it all the way up. If you do that on delay and reverb effects, sometimes it'll introduce a delay in your playing. But if it's a recording project, you can always go in after you've recorded it and literally move your waveform forward in time a little bit so that it ends up lining with the beat again. Stuff like that is a headache, but sometimes that's just what you got to do if you really want to get the perfect messed up guitar sound. In the last pro tip, I talked about reverbs that are actually made out of multiple delays smeared together. And one thing I love about the Maude pedal from Chase Bliss is that if you set this to its reverb mode, the modify knob then becomes a control over how blurred or unblurred the delays are that make up its reverb. So you can dial in your own sweet spot between how much you want it to sound like a reverb, how much you want it to sound like a bunch of delays, or how much you want it to be somewhere in between those two things. That's cool enough, but the other thing I love about this pedal is that if you then turn down the clock speed, it'll introduce this gorgeous bit-crushed texture to everything you're doing. And texture is also a key component of ambient guitar tones. It's actually kind of stupid and wrong that I haven't mentioned texture until pro tip 4 of this video. But you're about to hear in the thing I play with the Maude that in addition to having this like hybrid reverb delay thing going, it's also bathed in this bullshit texture that I love. texture is so important. For pro tip number 5, I want to talk about the Prismatic Wall from Electronic Audio Experiments. This is a reverb pedal, sort of, but what it really is a texture pedal. The reverberations it creates resonate so much that they sort of just become these runaway resonant textures that are gorgeous. Now, sometimes they can build up so much that you sort of need to adapt to a more stationary playing style. But that's what you're already supposed to be doing for ambient guitar anyway. One last thing, in the example you're about to hear, this is a mono pedal. So to give myself some nice stereo width, I ran it into a different reverb, my old favorite, the Strymon NightSky.